And by the way, that is the source of our unhappiness, is ourselves. It's not somebody else's fault that we're unhappy. And Lord knows we do that all the time, don't we? It's like, oh, I'm unhappy. Who made me unhappy? You see, we start pointing the finger, start looking. As soon as something bad happens to us, or some unwanted feeling, or some unwanted experience, we start like pointing. Look, the finger starts like moving. Who could I blame for this? You see, there's only one person that you can point the finger at when it comes to your unhappiness, and it's the last one that we usually choose. Of all the possible victims, it's this one is about the last one we choose. You see. No one can make you unhappy. No one can make you unhappy. So how would that work exactly? You see, how would it work for them to make you unhappy? You say it's magic. We believe that it's magic or something like that. They say some syllables with some decibels, and then the syllables and decibels reach our ears, and then somehow we become unhappy. See? So how did that work exactly? We choose to interpret those syllables and decibels as unhappy producing. We choose that. See, that's it. We interpret those. See? So last time we were talking, this is a very, very important principle to get. And, and it's not, we're very, very fortunate to be living in a time and place where, we kind of have been trained in this principle as a people, as a culture. Everything is interpreted subjectively. Everything is filtered through your subjective apparatus. You have no unmediated experience of reality. Can we all agree on that? Unmediated means without being filtered through the prejudices and biases and subjective perspectives that we bring to the situation. See, minimally, I think we should be able to agree on that. They're teaching that at the universities. This is the what do you call it? Zeitgeist, the spirit of our time. Everything is relative. See, everything is culturally relative. Everything is relative to the time, place, and time, and everything is relative ultimately to the person, relative to the person, subjectively. So if everything is being filtered through our subjective apparatus, that means that the only reality that we possibly can know is the one that we interpret, right? We are in charge of the reality that we know. Can we agree on that? You're supposed to be nodding a little bit more than that. You see, I think they teach this nowadays in grade school practically. That everything is conditioned. Everything is subjective. Right? So if that is the case, then how could you change the world? Change you. It is the only way, in fact, to change the world. If the world is interpreted through the subjective apparatus, then the only world you've ever known is that one, the one that has been filtered through your subjective apparatus. So if you change the subjective apparatus, you change the world, literally. For who? For you, which is the only world that ever has existed. For who? For you. You see, the idea of an objectively known world has been given up a long time ago. And in the Buddhist tradition, they give it up right from the start. Just in a way, the modern world is catching up to the idea that everything is coming from us, not at us. Which is a very empowering thing, actually. Okay? Because if things were actually out there, objectively existing out there somehow, then how could you change them? How could you really change them? You see? You could try to run away from them, or try to ignore them, or, try to embrace them. But you couldn't change them. Because everything is minimally interpreted subjectively, everything is changing. Very much including the person who is operating the subjective apparatus. Because the idea of ourselves is also a subjectively interpreted idea. I mean, kind of that one is so obviously as to be indisputable that our idea of ourselves is subjective. Yes, what else could it be? Yeah. So if you want to change yourself, you've got to change yourself. so to speak. You see, you've got to change your idea of yourself. In order to change your perception of yourself, you have to change your interpretation of yourself. It's obvious, right? Obvious. So how could you learn to live? How could you learn to live as a happier being who is interpreting themselves as a nicer person, as a kinder person, as a happier person, as a more useful person? You see, it kind of becomes obvious then what we need to do. All we need to do is to think, actually. Most of our problem comes from our not being very thoughtful about life. You see, it's when we consider ourselves good people, when we consider ourselves nice people, useful people, that we consider ourselves happy. We then can say, well, I'm a pretty good person, and that makes me happy. Nobody goes around saying, I'm a really lousy person and I'm happy. You see? It's impossible. You can't interpret yourself as a happy person if you are also seeing yourself as a selfish person, as a person who only cares about themselves, who only elbows their way to the front of the line all the time, and only is self-concerned. You see? So in a way, it just is obvious what we need to do to be happy. But we are so conditioned to trying the other way, to thinking, no, if I don't worry about me, who's going to worry about me? You see, and so I got an answer to that question. The Dalai Lama offers an answer to that question. There's nothing wrong with self-interest. Worry about yourself. It's important to worry about yourself. It's important to be happy. That's your goal in life. That's the purpose. That's what you were put here to do. So pursue your self-interest, enlightenedly, smart, with some wiseness, wisdom. You see, and instead of pursuing the old dead ends to self-interest, what about me? What about me? What about me? Think about what about me in a higher sense. What about me? I need to worry about somebody other than me. What about me? You see, in order to really pursue my self-interest, I have to stop worrying about my self-interest all the time, which is in my highest self-interest. Yeah, and it seems it's so paradoxical and snake eating his tail and stuff like that. It only is paradoxical to us because we're so ignorant. If you told a really happy person, an enlightened person, a saint, the way to be happy is to worry about someone other than yourself and their happiness. It was, of course, that's obvious, so obvious. Kindergarten, preschool, spiritual preschool. You see. But for people like us, it's like, oh, it's so Yoda. Yoda sounds so Zen, See? Because of our deep ignorance.